What is up, guys, gals, and you awesomeans and gamers of different shapes and sizes? It is me, Josh, Proxy, bringing you some Titanfall 2 today on the PlayStation 4 Pro, and it is pretty freaking awesome. No Angel Seed today. Gonna try and mix things up a little bit, show you another map, which is obviously not brand new, but still a really nice one. I really love the color palette. This is something I mentioned in the previous Titanfall 2 videos, is that this game is so freaking colorful. It combats a lot of those kind of like generic things that we see in a lot of first-person shooters, which is either that there are loads of like having grays and browns, and I mean obviously there's some brown grass in this, and there's some brown mountains, and there's some brown walls, and there's some brown falls, but there's still like loads of color, you know. It's still like a really nice color palette for a game. I mean, it pretty much uses like all the colors of the rainbow, which I really appreciate. It's not like a primary color, a secondary color, and a tertiary color, something that I brought up in another video as well, where basically you have this rule of colors, and generally you will see kind of like game developers stick by them. But in this game, there is a nice selection of, you know, different color types. There's like the grays, and the blues, and the oranges, the browns, the greens, you have like, you know, reds. There's so much. Oh, the pink, there's freaking pink. You never generally ever have pink in games, but there's pink in this game, and that's just kind of random, but it's also really awesome. Now, don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy this video, and why not subscribe for more Titanfall 2 content in the future. But today we're going to be using the alternator twin barrel submachine gun and Scorch the Titan, which is obviously one of the recent Titans to get a prime upgrade, which is really cool. Remember that the prime skins do not actually give you any kind of skill kind of like benefit, they just kind of change the cosmetics, which is something that they've ended up mentioning, the developers, Respawn Entertainment have ended up mentioning, is that anything that changes the gameplay will be completely free to you, the player. So no DLC where it's kind of like a pay-to-win kind of thing. None of the maps will also be pay-to-win, or not pay-to-win, but you know, pay-to-play and such. So it means that the community will always stay together when it comes to those maps that release. Obviously, Angel City just came out, and obviously everybody can play together when it comes to that one. So really awesome. But when it comes to things like your, how would you say it, kind of like your cosmetics, when it comes to your aesthetics, then you do actually have to pay for them. So when it comes to prime skins, which obviously just kind of changes the appearance of your Titan, when it comes to decals, when it comes to badges and banners, all those things will cost you a little bit of cash. But the awesome thing is that they're all really cheap. Like for a prime skin, which obviously gives you a brand new skin for your Titan, but also new sound effects, new kind of like execution animations, everything like that, it's actually only £3.99, which I believe is around $5, so not bad at all. Way better than say like Warframe, which like costs you so much for a character, and all you give you is pretty much a brand new polarity, like it's the exact same abilities and stuff like that. So it really combats that kind of like £50 price tag when it comes to a kind of exclusive premium character skin in that game, and I really like that. I think it's really awesome, using that throwing style there and taking down an enemy in one hit, which was really badass. Remember, you can actually do this with the pulse knife as well, which is actually the ability of the kind of like sonar type pilot, which is kind of cool. So obviously you have all these different types of pilots. You have the grapple hook one, which is one that I use quite a lot, and the one that you can actually use where you can actually use a throwing knife, which is kind of cool for like Call of Duty players, because one thing you'll always notice in say like Call of Duty in like kill cams is you'll have that player that kind of like throws the knife in like a really unusual high arc at the very beginning of a match, you know, to hopefully like kill someone in their own spawn. And you can actually do that with the pulse knife pilot in Titanfall 2, which is kind of cool. But also casually, you can just throw that pulse knife to actually reveal the enemy in the surrounding location. But also, you can actually do it to kill an enemy in one hit if you're actually really good at that aim. So you have actually like a bit of like an extra weapon in there too, which is kind of awesome. And you can actually do this with the grapple hook, which is kind of cool too. So like what you can do with the grapple hook is you actually attach to an enemy pilot, even if they're moving, and you can actually pull them into you, kind of like scorpions. You can go like, get over here, and then like finish them off with like a melee finish, or shoot them, which is kind of badass. Or it could be kind of like Batman, I guess, because Batman obviously has his back claw and stuff. So you can actually have that mechanic, and it's that kind of cool thing where all of the abilities have that kind of like secondary kind of like use, which I think is kind of awesome. So like say if you're using like the cloak pilot, you can obviously kind of like get a little bit cloaky against kind of like enemy pilots, so you can kind of like still be a little bit seen, but against a Titan you're completely blind, you know. So everything kind of has like a multitude of kind of uses, which is kind of nice. And obviously as well, it cloaks you against the enemy kind of like standard minion AI as well. So much awesome stuff when it comes to that. And again, all of the abilities have that kind of like little extra thing. Like if you're using the stim pilot, it allows you to run really fast, but remember that actually increases your health regeneration while you're actually activating that. So again, it has like secondary uses to it, and all of the abilities have have that, which is really, really cool. And so we'd love to hear your opinion. What is your favorite pilot that you like to use? What is your favorite Titan, your favorite weapon? Maybe your favorite pilot, because obviously there are more pilots than, say, Titans and such. And so when it comes to your kind of like standard loadout, what kind of things do you use? Like me, I generally kind of like to mix things up, just try and make the gameplay a little bit more interesting, especially when it comes to kind of like getting those skins. Because remember, you do actually have to grind a lot when it comes to Titanfall 2 and getting all of those aesthetic skins, especially to ones that you really, really like, which can be partially annoying, I guess. But you may notice I'm actually using Scorch here and kicking some serious ass, trying to kill that player in that little bunker, but it seems he is not going down. You may have noticed me actually arcing onto rooftops and taking pilots down. This takes a lot of practice, but it's something that you can actually do and something that you can really master. As you can see, look, it gets to this point where if you get so used to using the thermite grenade launcher, you can kind of fire and forget with it and actually get really good with it. Remember that the thermite grenade launcher does actually have an arc when it comes to toning, and so you have to try and like practice with it. You have to make sure you can actually be really beneficial, because as you can see, when you actually do that shot, you have to go through that really long reload stage, and it can get really annoying, it can get really frustrating, and I do not want that for you. I want to make sure that you can actually be the best that you can be. What is that saying from? Is that an American saying? That might be an American saying, I'm not too sure. But it's a really fantastic thing, and you may also notice I'm actually using a electric smoke here. This is something that you can actually do when it comes to going against Titans, as Scorch as well, because there is a really awesome tactic, and it's something that you actually see me use in other videos as Scorch, and say even as Ronin maybe. And it's really badass, is that if you actually combine your electric smoke with your other weapons, you actually have an immense amount of damage combination in this game. So one thing you can actually do is you can actually run up to, say, an enemy Titan, pop electric smoke, and then use your flame shield, as you can see here, which I'm using it to block an enemy attack. But you can actually do that and actually do a multitude of damage, which is really, really cool. So one thing that's really good when it comes to Scorch is, say, using your thermite launcher, which obviously takes a while to reload, but it means that you can actually fire that, then instead of reloading, then go for your ground slam, and then activate your electric smoke while you're actually getting closer, while using those two comboed moves already, and using then, say, like your flame shield and then the electric smoke at the exact same time, so do even more damage. So much damage potential. But when it comes to that, probably make sure that you bring dash with you, because if you are doing that and then the enemy gets a chance to, say, do the nuclear ejection, it does mean that you will be pretty much stuck in there with them, you know, in close range combat, and you do not want that as well. I mean, I don't think Scorch at full health can die from a nuclear ejection, but it's still that kind of thing where you want to make sure that you're not actually damaging your Scorch too much, because obviously there is so many chances for a Scorch to get bullied anyway, and so make sure that you're babysitting your Scorch. Make sure that you're actually using it tactically and to your advantage, like as you can see here, making sure that I actually lead my Titan and then giving it a battery to look after it, get some health, get some shield, and Pilot actually gives me one at the exact same time. So I jump into the mouth hole of my Titan, give it a battery, and then another Pilot gives it a nice back massage with a battery charge as well, which is kind of cool. I thought it was really, really badass. And look, mixing up all my abilities there, look, we've got my thermite launch using my melee, and then my ultra flame core, which is so bad that you can do like a ground slam and let all of that thermite out, which is really cool. And something to mention too is that with the brand new DLC, something that you can actually do now is use a brand new ability. Now, this thing that's really, really cool is that they've actually brought out a brand new ability for every single Titan. There's no new pilot type, though I assume they will bring out some more in the future. Kind of cool, actually. What kind of different pilot type could you have? I mean, I'd like a medic. Maybe a medic, because as you know, I love playing as medic. It is my go-to kind of like play style, I guess, and there's actually no kind of like medic use, you know, in Titanfall. Maybe because everyone's kind of like moving around way too fast, and it's that thing where obviously people kind of like die faster than they can actually get healed and stuff. So I don't know if you could really have a medic, but if there was like the potential to have like maybe a medic gun, that'd be kind of cool, maybe a little bit nice. I mean, what would you like to see in the future? And anyway, when it comes to these special abilities for your Titans, as you know, you can do things like, say, for Scorch, like specifically, there is like an ability where, I think it's the first one you actually have, where Scorch will take less thermite damage on himself, because if you do actually, say, fire thermite on the floor and then you kind of like walk over it, you will actually do self-damage. And this is something that, say, like North Star can do as well with its own kind of like cluster missile thing, so stay away from cluster missiles that you fire, because they will damage you as well. But with those special abilities, you can do things like deny like yourself more damage from your own thermite. But the new one that Scorch gets is that when it actually uses its flame core, or even like its slam down, it will actually leave thermite for longer and for a longer area of effect as well. So say if you are wanting to do even more damage, say from your thermite launch, which actually leaves thermite on the floor too, or say if you're wanting to do the gas grenade and then do your thermite launcher, you can actually leave an even bigger radius of fire in corridors, in open areas, for a lot longer thanks to that ability. I've not actually used it myself personally because I'm very addicted to that longer durated kind of flame shield, which is very useful for my own close combat kind of playstyle. But for anybody that's actually used that at the moment from that new release of DLC, let me know in the comment section below what you think too. I'd love to spotlight your opinion, because it's this thing where all of these abilities are very, very useful depending on your playstyle, and it really comes to kind of an important kind of thing, especially for these kind of like more pro, I won't say pro, but these more kind of like difficulty learning curve, like spiked based Titans, because obviously Scorch has a little bit of like a different thing where it can't move around as much, kind of like Legion, and so you kind of have to look after it a bit more, but also has an immense damage output if you can actually practice with that Titan and get better with it. So would love to know your opinion when it comes to that brand new ability that it actually has. Personally, I mean, I could actually see more firm being really, really useful. I mean, it is that kind of thing where you do need more core ability, so obviously one thing that you can actually do is give yourself a better starter core, which is 20%, and that means you can actually get that core ability a lot faster for your flame core, and then you can then use that extra Thermite ability to actually even like expand on that and even do even more damage a lot faster with your core ability. So there is a lot you can actually combine with that, I guess. There's a lot of potential. I mean, I would love to know your opinions when it comes to it, because obviously that's the opinion that matters the most. I mean, I just kind of waffle. I just talk my own, you know, I could sit here all day and talk to you about video games and I will just not shut up. But as you may notice, we did actually win this bounty hunter match. It was really, really also having a bit of a standoff here against an enemy Scorch while their dropship drops down, which is really, really bad. So it's this kind of thing where you kind of have to try and stop the enemy from escaping using that flame shield to finish them off. I'm actually in emergency doom mode here, so hopefully I will not die, which is something that does actually happen to me a lot. No, it seems like we're going to survive this, but we're going to have to end this one here. Thank you so much for coming along to this and enjoying this video. I hope. Let's drop a like if you did actually enjoy this video, and why not subscribe for more Titanfall 2 footage in the future and gameplay, and hopefully I'll see you all next time. It has been me, Josh, aka Proxy. Ciao for now.